there, this is Dutta, and welcome to the Body Slam TNA Post Show. As always, I'm joined by the fifth rascal himself, and he allegedly has no relation to Steve Macklin, the one and only Burt Macklin.
How's it going?
It's going good. How you doing, Burt?
I'm good.
How are you? I'm good. We have quite a lot of things to talk about because not only was this the 20th anniversary of TNA Impact, but something happened earlier this week. Let's talk about that before we get into Explosion. Jordan Grace, as we know, she's going to have a match with Roxanne Perez at Battleground for that NXT Women's title. But this past Tuesday, she actually had a match against Stevie Turner, might I add. Now, I feel like it was a great performance by Jordan Grace. I feel like she did a really good job representing TNA. My one complaint is I thought the match was a little short.
But then also you could argue that if they're only going to have one match with her in NXT to build up to her match with Roxanne, why not make it a match where she goes out and dominates, similar to where she would dominate that kind of competition in TNA? So I think the booking was perfect.
Okay, you do have a point. You know, she did look really dominant. She looked fantastic out there. You know, I'm really hoping that with this NXT TNA partnership, it brings new eyes to TNA. Cameron Johnson saying NXT TNA. Yeah, I really like the fact that Jordan Grace is wearing that on NXT.
Yeah, and I just have to say, and you could, I get it's a shot, I guess, but I would say already in a shorter amount of time, WWE's already booked a TNA wrestler better than AEW ever did. So that's just kudos to WWE on that.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. I'm very curious to see how that NXT Battleground match plays out. Will Jordan Grace make history? We'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's kick things off talking about Explosion. So as we all know how Explosion works, we have the Around the Ring segment. This week was Sami Callihan. A little interesting tidbit with Sami Callihan. I know you were talking about how you're finding these segments boring now.
I don't know. I just wish that we would get another match. That's just me. And just the roster's getting so big to where I would like to, especially they should utilize this show a little bit more.
And I agree with you, Bert. I've been preaching it for a while now. Why is TNA not having the digital media champion here defended every week? Open challenge. You could do a whole tournament. You could do so much with Explosion. I don't know why they took out the 2-match format. I don't know why it's just Around the Ring and one match. That's not enough to keep Explosion going. I mean, people like me are still gonna watch, but you could do so much more. So much more on Explosion. It's 40 minutes. You can use that to build an angle. You can use it to have matches, a mini tournament to determine the number one contender for the digital media title. So much, and yet TNA is not utilizing that. I don't know why.
Yeah, all those things, they could do all those things and more. Exactly. Yeah, especially like if they're doing a tournament, that's a great place to have a couple of the early rounds or on Explosion. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You can have Allen Angels do the sound check.
Yeah.
Speaking of Allen Angels, the lone match on this week's episode was Eric Young versus Allen Angels. An incredible match between the two of them. I honestly would not mind seeing a second part to this match. This was such a great match. Hey, Joe Live. Hey.
What's up? I just like to say, I thought this was cool just because I don't know if they had faced before, but this is basically the Eric Young, the leader of VBD in the first incarnation. And then you had Allen Angels, who was a part of VBD when Diener was leading. So even though that there wasn't any kind of like people want, you know, that you don't always need a storyline, but there's a backstory to this just in terms of these wrestlers are familiar with each other. You know, they were both in the same group at one point or another.
It's criminal that TNA is not using Allen Angels to his full potential. He's an incredible talent. We need to see more of Allen Angels.
Yeah, he should be more involved in the X Division scene right now.
I agree. Just imagine him and Mustafa Ali. Incredible match.
That would be a great match.
It would be. All right, let's kick things off talking about Impact. Now, this episode was celebrated 20 years of Impact Wrestling. And I have to say, it kicked off with Khan versus Jake something. I felt like this was going to be a meat match. I was kind of hilarious. Like, okay, like, is Jake something going to win? I felt like Jake something should have won this match, and I'm so happy that he did. He won with the headbutt into the void. Now, commentary was saying that Jake something paid homage to Abyss here.
I must have not caught them saying that. I wonder if that was Abyss's move. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think they said something about him paying a tribute to Abyss. So it was interesting that Eric Young came out to help Jake something, but then again, I don't blame Dina for not coming out because Jake something told him to stay away.
Yeah, I like that whole storyline. Basically, I think even Khan said, "Look what happened." Yeah, I don't think Diener would have got involved just because them saying that. But I at this point I don't know where they go with Jake something because it just seems like it's so up and down with his booking. If I wouldn't mind and just because I wouldn't mind, it would get him on TV more if they made Khan and him a team. Because they don't really have like two giants in the team together before that I can remember. But yeah, I just don't know what they're doing with Jake something.
And you know what's sad is Jake something when he returned to TNA, he made such an impact, no pun intended. He made such an impact and he had great momentum and then it kind of just went down,
Yeah. Because I didn't think they were gonna. I was just saying I didn't think you necessarily needed to move into the world title scene. That's why they have the digital media title. But yeah, I just don't know what they're doing. It's not like he's doing anything meaningful right now.
I was kind of disappointed when he lost to Ali for that exhibition title. I felt like that was his moment.
Yeah, one could argue that. Yeah, I could agree with that too.
But I understand too, So, all right. So we get Eric Young at the end. He cuts a little promos talking about 20 years of TNA Impact, and now he was a part of the first match in TNA Impact. So it was a nice little promo there. So Frankie Kazarian gets interviewed, and we basically find out he made a deal with the system, saying that if he took out Nick Nemeth, Moose would give him a title shot. Now, it's interesting, that Frankie Kazarian, I believe they said he main evented the first episode of TNA Impact, and he main evented this one. I kind of like how Eddie Edwards and Frankie Kazarian kind of had that little stare down at the end, because as we know, they had a feud previously, so. But I thought this was interesting. What did you think?
Yeah, no, Kazarian continues to just really impress me in this heel run that he's on. He's really carrying himself. Just to me, that it's someone who I would put the world title on, especially in TNA. But I like how the system kind of keeps like messing with Gia a little bit. They're coming off very heelish and every time, especially Alicia and all these promos. But yeah, I did like how Kazarian and Eddie had to stare off just because I love the continuity because yeah, they just had a blood feud like what was it like less than a year ago, right?
Yeah, they did. Which a feud that Frankie Kazarian won in the end.
And it's interesting though because I don't think it's gonna be Kazarian and Moose just because that'd be two heels, and I don't see either one of them turning face at this point. So I obviously think it's more than likely that it'll be Kazarian versus somebody other than Moose for the championship.
I agree. I definitely see that happening. I also love when Alicia said, "You have a stupid accent" with her Boston accent. Yeah. That's funny.
Because I think I caught like last week, like I think Brian Myers said that she dyed her hair to look like one of the Nemesis or something like that. Like they're constantly messing. They're getting her especially is just like really like coming into her own in this group. I think she's like I look at her as like one of the leaders of it. She definitely does a lot more of the promos than I thought she would.
She definitely does. So Alicia's has really come into her own in the system.
Definitely.
All right, so next we get SDL, Steph Delander, talking about PCO, which, she says that she barely knows the guy, and she doesn't really know how she feels about him. Now, Zaya Brookside, who was at ringside, or I should say on the ramp, she was like clapping last week when PCO gave SDL that letter, and she basically convinces her for her to think about it, and she's just going to take a week. So, very curious to see where this love story between PCO and SDL goes.
Yeah, and then like G and her like came together and like were like clapping together like it was like a sitcom or like a TV, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's very cheesy, but only TNA could do something like this and make it like somewhat watchable. So
That's true. I agree with you on that. So next we get the return of Giselle Shaw versus Shansa McKenzie. I have to say, Giselle Shaw came back with a new theme song and a new nickname, the quintessential knockout, which Io called. He said that she should be call herself that, and she did. I'm digging the new nickname. I really miss her old theme. I really liked her old theme a lot more than this one. I'm just being biased, though.
I still think this leads to an ultimate like heel turn with Gail managing her, just because I don't know, just the whole presentation. She seems like more like serious. I don't know. She's a lot different this time.
Honestly, I still think 2024 is going to be it's going to be quintessential. I do think Giselle Shaw was going to be the one to dethrone Jordynne Grace for that knockouts title. Maybe not anytime soon, but I do think that that's going to be the case. I have to say, and let me see. Io says Shaw looked good out there. New lease, definitely. She did look really good out there. I have to say, after seeing Shaza McKenzie last week on Explosion, I was a little kind of disappointed that she didn't wasn't showcasing this match. Granted, I know and understand this match was about Giselle Shaw and showing that she didn't miss a beat after being away for 3 months. But I would definitely like to see more Shansa McKenzie. I think she would make a great addition to the Knockouts division.
Yeah, and, definitely. And like, yeah, to Io's point, like she definitely wrestled different. Like it was like less showing off and like more like a more serious Giselle. Like I think that's the direction that they're going to. But I still think that she's going to be a heel. It's just more of like a less comedy heel.
Yeah, I think being a heel suits her. I can't picture her as a baby face.
No, and that's why. And I also just think because baby faces with managers has just always kind of been weird to me. So I do think it leads to Gail Kim, almost like how Taz was like Samoa Joe's advisor. They could totally do something like that where they say Giselle because she's saying she's been talking to someone, getting some coaching advice. I think that's how it was back with when they first revealed Samoa Joe. But yeah, I'm totally in for this new Giselle Shaw.
Me too. So Rosemary, she has a V in it. She's talking about like love, failures, sins, and all this stuff. So I wonder what this is leading to. I know Havoc is not in TNA right now. Don't know when she's coming back. But I wonder if this is all leading to something.
That's interesting. I did not know Havoc was not in TNA. I must have missed that.
Well, it's not that she left TNA. She's just like not there at the moment. So maybe she's like taking a hiatus or something.
Well, then I definitely think this is like ultimately hoping, and I think a lot of fans are hoping that she reunites with the Bunny, just because I just think that was, I don't know. I think that they were just so over.
It seems like it's hinting at the return of the Bunny because she's had a cane with the Bunny. She's mentioned she hasn't specifically mentioned the Bunny, but she's indirectly mentioned the Bunny. So I could see that happening. Joseph Boza saying, me too. She has a new presence when she returned tonight. There is some people that hate her music is gone. I don't hate that her music is gone. I just prefer the old theme. But hey, I'm sure this new theme is gonna warm up to me. I'm sure I'm gonna warm up to this new theme eventually. I haven't seen much of Ali since her contract to AEW ended. Exactly. So maybe she comes back to TNA. So Mike Santana and Steve Maclin. It seems like they're gonna be strange bedfellows when they team up to face the Rascals at Against All Odds. Steve Maclin saying it's gonna be a one and done. What were your thoughts on this?
I like how right off the bat Santana pointed out, basically like he's letting you know that he's done with tag teams, and if you pay any attention with things in other companies or behind the scenes, yeah, if anyone's going to say that, it's going to be him. So then, of course, he's going to be the one to say one time if he was going to even team with Maclin. So I really like this. I don't see how they coexist, but you would think that they will, just because Santana just has the attitude, let's just get it over with.
To me, I could definitely see a scenario where like Maclin abandons Santana. What about you? Can you picture that scenario?
I could see it the other way around.
Where Santana abandons Maclin?
Yeah, just because he's over it. You know what I mean?
That's true.
He didn't come there to be in another tag team.
It's one and done, though. One and done.
Yeah, but he didn't even want it to be one.
True that. True that. So that's going to be, like I said, strange bedfellows. We get a tag team match, Mustafa Ali and Campaign Singh versus Speedball Mountain. So this match was interesting considering that Mustafa Ali is supposed to face Trent Seven in his hometown of Chicago next week at Against All Odds. And like, I don't know, it seemed to me like Mustafa Ali was kind of avoiding Mike Bailey during this match. I feel like that's a match that they're holding off on. What were your thoughts on this match?
Well, yeah, Diener's bad luck for Jake something. Campaign Singh's bad luck for Mustafa Ali. I think that he lost last week, or he got him in that match. Didn't want him to be. They lost this week.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Just keep going.
This was a really good match. Trent Seven and Mike Bailey were very well together. I don't think Mike Bailey versus Mustafa Ali is the direction, but regardless if it's not the direction, if it's a direction or not, I do like the philosophy of keeping them away from each other just to keep that fresh. And then in terms of Mustafa Ali, I mean, and then them losing this match, it's just very funny that as soon as Campaign Singh aligned himself with Mustafa Ali, it's just kind of been like, one blunder after another.
Joseph says, I think Ali will have a great showing in his hometown next week. I can see Speedball being the one to dethrone him. That's what I think too. That's why I'm not surprised that Speedball didn't win, because I feel like whoever was going to face Mustafa Ali in Against All Odds was going to get booed. I mean, you're in Chicago, Mustafa Ali's hometown. There's no way that person was going to win.
I really do think, especially with this whole, presidential type gimmick, that he will exercise option C. I think he will be world champ. I don't know. I just think he came to TNA with eyes of being a world champion, just because it didn't work out from whatever circumstance in WWE.
Hold on. I do agree. I could see him exercising option C during his run as X Division champion. I thought it was very telling that at the end, like, he didn't save poor son Campaign Singh,
No, the president doesn't save the campaign manager.
That's true. The campaign manager is supposed to save the president.
Yeah.
All right, we get the Knockouts World Title matches. Jordan Grace versus Allison Kay. Now, she already beat one half of the Hex, and this was a great match. Like, a lot of great knockouts action during this episode. I was really happy with that, because as we all say, the Knockouts division is the best women's division in pro wrestling, and I think they showed that here tonight.
Yeah, I think also that's why them working with NXT fits so well, just because I think NXT is right there with TNA in terms of their women's division. this was very good. I like this match a little bit more than last week's. But yeah, no, Jordynne Grace just continues to be booked as such a dominant force. Like, I think they said that. I wish I would have rewound it, but I think they said that she's had more title defenses this time than any of her other previous reigns.
Yeah, they did. They said that.
They're really booking her strong this time. Like, you could see her get like. I could see her going the rest of 2024 without losing. Just because I could see her having that type of reign with the way that they're booking her each week.
Joseph said Mustafa was more about running away from Trent 7. He was willing to sacrifice his campaign manager. He was. Io said very knockout heavy on this show tonight. Yes, it was. And honestly, like, I could see her having a lengthy title reign. She's definitely gonna be champion past Slammiversary here. Maybe she loses it at Bound for Glory, but I do, like I mentioned earlier, I do think Giselle Shaw would be the one to dethrone Jordynne Grace, and she's having an open challenge at Against All Odds. So I wonder who's gonna answer that challenge. I know on NXT it was hinted that it was Tatum Paxley, but it could be a swerve.
I think it will be Natty.
I don't think so. I think if anything, they'll save Natty for Slammiversary in Montreal.
That's true. Real quick, I want to, just because I believe she was out there, we should give a shout out and a thank you to Dr. Finkelstein out of Boca Raton for that successful. Notice how he says successful minor surgery, but still, no surgery is minor. It's only minor when it's not happening to you. So that's what I'm saying when you're happening to yourself. So, that's all I want to say. Shout out to Dr. Finkelstein.
Oh my God, because Ash by Elegance is back?
Yeah. I think that there's a chance that she could win the title before Giselle.
I don't know if Ash by Elegance would be the one to take the title off of Jordynne Grace, but I think, in my opinion, it should be Giselle Shaw. That's just my opinion.
It just seems like Ash has been targeting Jordan for a while now, so at least they're gonna have a match, I would think.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't announced a match, but I guess they're still building to it. All right, so next we get a Death Machine TV segment, and in this segment, he's basically challenging Jonathan Gresham to a match against all odds. I really like how he had like a whole new segment on there. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. The line about is he an octopus or is a guy pretending to be an octopus or an octopus pretending to be a man, that was pretty funny. Whatever match it is, hopefully Gresham goes over, just because I hope that they're positioning him, just because I think this is just Gresham at his best, and now he has this very interesting character. I really hope this ends with him with some sort of world title run.
Damn, there's so many contenders. I don't even know who I would want to be world champion after Moose. There's just too many people.
Well, that's why they also have to constantly book, like, the X Division is that, it's almost always booked as Title 1A, So, and also there's the digital media chain. That's why you always have to constantly keep those belts strong, because, he could win any one of them. I don't think it would be a downgrade.
True that. So next we get a digital media title match. It's Laredo Kid versus AJ Francis. I felt so bad for Laredo Kid. He literally just won that title at Rebellion. He really, as far as I know, he didn't do much with it in TNA. I guess he defended it, like elsewhere. But I felt so bad. But you know what? I can't be mad because TNA has done a really good job building up AJ Francis, and I'm hoping that now that AJ Francis is digital media champion, that we get to see more of the digital media title, not only in TNA, not only on Impact, but in Explosion. As I said earlier, they could do so much with Explosion. Have AJ Francis defend in squash matches or something, or have a weekly challenge on Explosion, something like that.
I can definitely see both party, people in the back and AJ Francis himself just have been thinking about what they could do with this title. Just they mentioned that Tom mentioned it, like his social media presence. I just think there's a lot they could do with him and this title. So, and I think they will.
I'm hoping because, like, hello, it's digital media. Explosion is on, well, it was on YouTube. Now it's on the app. It's still social media.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
All right. So we get Jordan Grace, like she gets a video package and she's talking about her match against Roxanne Perez, about how she's looking to make history. I mean, she could possibly make history here, being the first interpromotional champion. Talk about history. But I don't know. I don't know. Battleground is going to be interesting. What do you think of this?
I hope it ends in a draw. Just because I don't want to see either of them have each. You know what I mean? I don't want to see either of them lose at this time. Just because I watch NXT and I really think that they're building the way that they're building Roxanne is just top heel. I really like the whole Prodigy gimmick, which she is. And then Jordan, I don't think she's ready to lose because it's title for title. Am I correct?
Oh, I believe this is just for the NXT Women's title.
Oh. Well, then if that's the case, I don't think that it hurts Jordan to lose. But at the same time, I don't think she should lose at this time either. So a time limit draw, which is very rare. Like unless it's the main event, which if it is, I don't know if they should do that. But this is interesting.
I also is AJ already putting some buzz on Twitter. He'll elevate the title. Hopefully he does. He's saying if the match is very good, then everyone wins. Exactly. So even if it's a time limit draw, as long as it's a great match, everyone wins.
Yes.
All right. So our main event ends up being Nick Nemeth versus Frankie Kazarian. Remember, the system said that if Frankie Kazarian took out Nick Nemeth, he would get a title shot. Joseph Baza said Sunday is Roxanne Perez NXT Women's Championship. Then Friday is an open challenge for Jordan Grace's title. I wouldn't be surprised if it's an NXT diva that accepts. I wouldn't be surprised either, and that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. I definitely I'm starting to agree with you in that. Yeah, I think they would save Natty, just especially if this partnership goes forward for the show that's in Canada. It's a bigger show. But yeah, I definitely agree with that.
All right, so the main event, I thought this was a great match between Nick Nemeth and Frankie Kazarian. I kind of thought that the system was going to get involved in this during the match so that Frankie Kazarian wouldn't get the title shot. But Nick Nemeth still won. He hit that danger zone to Frankie. And then at the end, of course, the system attacked. Ryan Nemeth came to help his brother. And then interesting choice. Who comes out? Joe Henry comes out. Hashtag Joe Henry for world champion. Let's get that trending, people. Hashtag Joe Henry for world champion. Make it trend. Now, I still think Joe Henry should get elevated to the main title scene. And this seems like this is the start of it. He's kind of seems like he's going to start feuding with the system here, which is interesting because like we mentioned last week with his victory over Eddie Edwards, he's defeated all the members of the system.
He's technically the top face right now, other than Nick Nemeth, but he's already got a shot. And then Matt Hardy, who I don't think is winning. Who else but Joe Henry? So at this point, I do think Joe Henry will be the one to beat Moose.
They got to pull the trigger.
I think they do for Slammiversary. I think there's plenty of time to build that.
Speaking of Matt Hardy, at the end, he appears and he invites the system to meet his family at the Hardy compound next week. That should be interesting because that's a go-home show too against all odds.
I wonder if they're going to have some of the same characters like Scribe and Senior Benjamin and Skarsgård, that like old dilapidated boat. I believe that was his name. So hopefully those characters make a return.
I've actually never seen the Hardy compound. I've never seen it.
You've never seen the Hardy compound match?
No, I've never seen. I was not watching TNA at that time. I've only been watching. It'll be 4 years this July that I've been watching TNA, so I've never seen it.
That's some of the most like entertaining stuff in TNA, just because I think it was like a lot of it was during the pandemic, so you had to have a lot of creativity, and Matt did. I don't know. It's just some of the best stuff in TNA. it was very wacky at the time. But then the more that he did it, it just continued to get over.
I definitely should check it out one of these days. All right. So overall, I thought tonight was a great show. Great way to celebrate 20 years of TNA Impact. Also, too, people, stop sleeping on TNA. If you're not watching TNA with this NXT TNA partnership, I don't know what else to tell you.
I think this is the smartest decision, like in terms of if you're gonna try their partnership. And I wouldn't think WWE at first, but NXT is just so TNA and vice versa. So I just think the companies mirror themselves so much that it works.
I agree. I'm liking this partnership and where it's going. You know, we're gonna see. Hopefully, I'm very curious to see who we get that open challenge. I cannot wait for Battleground. Like this is the most exposure TNA has gotten in a while, and like I cannot wait. I'm really hoping this partnership goes a long way with TNA and NXT. But you know, this episode was the first episode on the TNA app, and I have to say, I had heard that there was commercials during on the app. I didn't get any commercials because I didn't watch it live, so to speak. I rewinded and watched this from the beginning. So, but so far, I don't mind watching it on the app. It's no different than YouTube, except you don't have a live chat. So it's an interesting experience to say the least.
Yeah, and I watch it on Access, but the app I've had the app for a while, and the app functions very well. So I will have to try maybe next week to watch on the app, just so I can see what it's like watching a live show on there, a weekly show. I mean, because the pay-per-views run fine.
Yeah, Eric Isaac says, can't wait for Sunday and let's go Juggernaut. Yep, Sunday's gonna be fun. All right, Bert, you got anything else you want to say? Is we get ready to sign off?
No, yeah, just definitely continue to watch TNA and definitely watch the Sunday and cheer on Jordynne Grace.
Yeah, exactly. You know, people have got to stop sleeping on TNA. I'm hoping this partnership can bring more eyes to TNA. You know, I cannot wait for Battleground. Let's all watch Battleground to support Jordynne Grace. I cannot wait for Against All Odds next week. But with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever Body Slam goes live or whenever they release a new video. And we'll see you guys next week for the Go Home Show to Against All Odds. Bye!